My name is Adriana Vale. I'm 32 years old, and 6 months ago, I got the promotion that should have marked the beginning of the best chapter of my life. Instead, it became the night I finally understood that sometimes the person standing closest to you is already halfway gone. I'm a lead engineer for the narrow-body fleet at one of the major airlines out of LAX. If that sounds technical, here's the simple version. I'm one of the women responsible for making sure the aircraft people trust with their lives actually deserve that trust. I've been in aviation for 9 years. I started as a junior mechanic fresh out of A&P school, worked brutal shifts, took every ugly assignment nobody wanted, and earned my place one inspection, one overnight repair, one grease-stained sunrise at a time. My promotion bumped me from $78,000 to $98,000 a year. It also gave me authority over my own schedule, a crew of 12 technicians, and 47 Boeing 737s that now carried my name in the chain of accountability. I had earned every inch of that. My friend Owen, who has been in aviation forever, told me most people don't make lead engineer until much later. I made it at 32 because I had spent the last year and a half working 60-hour weeks like my future depended on it, because it did. My boyfriend, Sebastian Reed, was 30. He worked as an administrative coordinator at a real estate brokerage. Phones, scheduling, databases, office support, honest work. I never disrespected what he did, but the numbers were the numbers. He made around $38,000 a year, and I covered roughly 70% of our life together. The apartment in the Arts District was $2,400 a month. I paid $1,700. He paid $7,000. And somehow, even with that split, he still found ways to sigh like the world was asking too much of him. When I got promoted, I wanted one beautiful night. Not because I needed applause. Because I wanted to mark the moment with the person who was supposed to love me most. I booked Belloro, this Italian place downtown that was so hard to get into, you practically had to win a small war just to reserve a table. They had a cancellation for Friday. I grabbed it, paid the deposit, bought a tailored cream blazer from Nordstrom, and on Thursday night, I stopped by a florist for white peonies. Sebastian's favorite. I left them on the counter with a note. Tomorrow night, you and me. Big celebration. He came home 3 hours later. I heard the front door, his shoes on hardwood, the rustle of the bouquet paper. These are nice, he called from the kitchen. That was it. I stepped out from the hallway and looked at him. He was holding his phone in one hand, flowers in the other, like both things were mildly inconvenient objects he had to manage. Nice? I repeated. He glanced up barely. Sorry, thank you, they're beautiful. For tomorrow, I said, Belloro, 7 o'clock. He set the flowers down and picked his phone back up. I might be late. I have a thing after work. What thing? Errands. He said it too quickly. I'll meet you there, he added. He didn't ask what we were celebrating. Didn't mention my promotion. Didn't say he was proud of me. And that landed harder than I wanted it to. Friday morning, I got up at 5 like always, hit the gym, showered, made coffee, and drove to the hangar. We had a 737-800 coming in for a C-check, and it was my first major inspection as lead engineer. I ran the crew briefing at 7. Assigned tasks, walked the checklist, moved through the morning with the kind of sharp focus that makes people trust you. Afterward, my supervisor pulled me aside. You're a natural at this, he said. Keep it up, Adriana. Senior lead in 2 years if you stay on this trajectory. Senior lead. 6 figures. Real stability. The kind of foundation you build a future on. At noon, I texted Sebastian. Morning went great. Can't wait for tonight. He replied 4 hours later with a thumbs up. I stared at it for a second, then typed back. A thumbs up? Seriously? A minute later. Sorry, babe. Swamped. Excited for tonight. That was better. Barely. But I screenshotted it anyway. I keep records. Receipts. Lease documents. Payment histories. Who covered what? Who promised what? Some people call that cold. I call it being a grown woman who doesn't walk blindfolded into shared finances and call that trust. I left work at 5, drove home, changed into dark jeans, heels, a silk blouse, and the blazer I'd bought for myself. I looked in the mirror and saw exactly what I had spent years becoming. Capable. Composed. Built from effort. Sebastian still wasn't home. I texted him. Heading to Belloro. See you soon. His reply came almost immediately. Running late. Start without me. I stared at that one too. Then I typed, this is my celebration. Be on time. He answered. I said I'm hurrying. By 6:55, I was standing inside Belloro alone while the hostess smiled politely and asked if I wanted to be seated. Not yet, I told her. I'm waiting for my boyfriend. The restaurant glowed in that warm, expensive way candlelit places do when they want every table to feel like a secret. Fresh bread, garlic, low laughter, wine glasses catching gold light. At 7:17, Sebastian walked in. 17 minutes late. He looked good in the navy shirt I'd bought him 2 months earlier, and he knew it. He moved like the room should naturally shift to accommodate him. Traffic, he said. Not an apology. An excuse. Noted, I said. For about 8 minutes, things held together. Then a woman's voice cut through the room behind us. Sebastian, oh my God, Sebastian. He went still beside me. Not tense. Bright. I turned. Tall woman. Glossy dark hair. Leather jacket to expensive-looking boots. The kind of practiced confidence that made everything about her seem intentional. Talia, the ex-girlfriend. The one from the stories. The one he had once described as a mistake, a lesson, a closed door. His face changed the second he saw her, and that was the moment my stomach dropped. Because people can fake politeness. They can fake affection. But surprise tells the truth too fast to manage. Talia, he said, and there was a smile in his voice I hadn't heard directed at me in months. She came closer, eyes flicking to me, only briefly before sliding away again like I was a coat rack. Wow, she said, you look good. Sebastian laughed softly. Then he stepped away from me. Actually stepped away. Created physical distance between us so he could face her more fully. I felt it like a slap. I extended my hand anyway because I still believed in giving people a chance to do the decent thing. Adriana, I said evenly, his girlfriend. Talia didn't take my hand. She just smiled at Sebastian and said, girlfriend? Cute. Playing it safe now? My hand hung in the air for a second too long before I lowered it. I looked at Sebastian. Waited. Expected him to correct her tone, to acknowledge me properly, to do the smallest possible thing that would say, this woman matters to me. Instead, he placed his hand lightly against my chest. Not tenderly. Like a barrier. Adriana, he murmured. Relax. Don't embarrass me. The words hit so hard, I almost didn't understand them at first. I kept my voice calm. One question, he just disrespected me. Are you going to say anything? Talia gave a tiny laugh under her breath. Sebastian's jaw tightened. She's joking. Don't make this weird. Don't make this weird, I repeated. He lowered his voice. I haven't seen her in years. I need closure. Closure, I said. He nodded like he was the reasonable one. 10 minutes. Go find us a table. Order me a glass of red. Then he touched Talia's arm. She touched his wrist. And the two of them walked toward the patio doors while I stood there in the middle of my own celebration, feeling like someone had quietly removed the floor beneath me. I watched through the glass as she laughed. Watched him lean in. Watched her place a hand on his chest like she still had the right. And the worst part was not that he went. It was how comfortable he looked once he did. The hostess cleared her throat beside me. Ma'am, she said gently, your table is ready. I looked at her, then at the patio, then back toward the door. I won't be needing it, I said. And I walked out, not toward him, not toward the patio, not toward the life I had been trying to hold together by myself. Toward my truck, toward home, toward the version of me that was finally done waiting to be chosen. I didn't feel angry on the drive home. That's the part people never understand when I tell this story. They expect rage, tears, some kind of dramatic explosion. But what I felt was clarity, the kind that settles in quietly, like a decision your body made before your mind had time to argue with it. Every light on the way home turned green. No music, no calls, just the low hum of the engine and a checklist already forming in my head. Because this wasn't spontaneous. It looked like it, but it wasn't. I had been preparing for this without admitting it, even to myself. 15 minutes later, I was pulling into my assigned parking spot. The one I paid extra for because Sebastian said street parking made him feel uneasy. Funny how that worked. I grabbed my keys, took the stairs up to the 4th floor, and stood in front of apartment 4G for exactly 5 seconds, just looking at the door, at the life behind it, at the version of myself who still believed that if she worked hard enough, loved carefully enough, stayed patient enough, and she could make someone else meet her there. Then I unlocked it and went inside. The apartment looked exactly the same. Clean, organized, quiet. The peonies still sat on the counter, untouched. The notes still folded neatly beside them. Unread. That told me everything I needed to know. I didn't hesitate after that. I went straight to the bedroom closet, top shelf, back corner, small black safe behind Sebastian's shoeboxes. Inside, my passport, my social security card, the title to my truck, and the watches that actually mattered to me. One of them had belonged to my grandfather. He wore it working the flight line at O'Hare. It wasn't flashy, but it carried weight in a way money never could. I wrapped everything in a sweatshirt and set it aside. Next, the emergency envelope. $1,800 in cash. Not a huge amount, but enough to remind me that I always planned for contingencies. And tonight qualified. I moved into the hallway closet and pulled out the contractor-grade trash bags I'd bought a month earlier. 42-gallon. Heavy duty. I'd told Sebastian they were for the storage unit. They weren't. My side of the bedroom closet was exactly how I'd always kept it. Structured, separated, intentional. Jackets left. Casual middle. Work right. I didn't fold anything. Didn't overthink. I grabbed armfuls, hangers and all, and dropped them into the bags. Metal clattered against wood. Sharp. Clean. Final. 5 minutes. That's all it took to clear my entire side. I stepped back for a second and looked at the empty space next to his side, which was still packed with clothes he couldn't afford without me. That visual hit harder than anything. 2 years of imbalance. Side by side. One empty because I took responsibility for myself. The other full because I'd been carrying both of us. I moved on. Dresser. Bathroom. Socks, gym clothes, toiletries, prescriptions. Only what was mine. No overlap. No debate. Then the living room. The PlayStation? Mine. Controllers? Mine. Books, laptop, iPad, AirPods. Everything accounted for. Everything documented. I unplugged the router next. Netgear Nighthawk. $85 a month. My name on the account. I wrapped the cords carefully and slid it into my bag. That one would hurt him faster than anything else. People don't notice infrastructure until it's gone. I grabbed the Bluetooth speaker from the bathroom, the toolkit under the sink, portable charger from the nightstand. Every single object I had paid for, every single piece of functionality he had quietly relied on. By 8:40, my truck was full. Black bags stacked in the back seat, tarp pulled over the bed, backpack in the passenger seat. I went upstairs one last time. The apartment didn't look empty. It looked hollowed out, like someone had removed the structure and left the shell behind. I walked to the kitchen, set my spare key on the counter next to the untouched flowers. Then I found a piece of junk mail, flipped it over, and grabbed a marker. I thought about writing nothing, letting the silence speak for itself. But I didn't want confusion. I wanted precision. So I wrote 5 words. You finished it. I'm done. No explanation. No emotion. Just a conclusion. I placed the note beside the key, turned, and walked out. Locked the door behind me, and didn't look back. The hotel off the 405 wasn't special. That was the point. $90 a night. Neutral ground. No memories attached. The front desk guy gave me a strange look when I walked in wearing a blazer with trash bags full of my life. I didn't explain. Just one night? He asked. We'll see, I said. Room 227. The air conditioner rattled. The bed was average. The silence was perfect. I ordered a large pepperoni pizza and sat on the edge of the bed with my phone face down beside me. It kept buzzing, every few minutes, like something alive and angry. I didn't touch it. Not yet. I wanted to eat first. I wanted to sit there, alone, without being interrupted, without someone checking their phone mid-conversation, without feeling like I had to earn basic attention. I ate 4 slices, slowly, deliberately. And for the first time in months, I realized something simple. Peace doesn't announce itself. It just shows up when the noise is gone. At 10:30, I picked up my phone. 43 missed calls, 31 texts, 9 voicemails. I didn't feel guilt. I felt confirmation. I played the first voicemail. Adriana, where are you? I'm back at the table. The waiter said you left. This isn't funny. Come pick me up. Annoyed. Not worried. Not apologetic. Still assuming I was part of his plan. Second voicemail. Okay, seriously, answer your phone. I'm outside now. Talia already left. I'm not paying $40 for an Uber. This is ridiculous. There it was. The shift. From control and to inconvenience. Third voicemail. Adriana, I'm home. Why isn't the internet working? A pause. Footsteps. Faster now. Where's your laptop? Where's your stuff? Closet doors opening. A sharp inhale. Adriana, call me. Right now. Confusion. Realization starting to seep in. Fourth voicemail. Crying. Actual panic. I found the note. What do you mean finished it? You can't just leave. We live together. You took everything. Just come home, okay? I'm sorry. I lost track of time. Please, just come back. I leaned back against the headboard and stared at the ceiling. No anger. No satisfaction. Just distance? He wasn't apologizing for what he did. He was reacting to what he lost. That difference mattered. I scrolled through the texts. Same pattern. Where are you? This isn't funny. Answer me. Why is your stuff gone? Please call me. I messed up. I'm scared. I turned the phone off, held the power button until the screen went black. And in that moment, the silence that followed felt louder than anything he had said all night. I slept straight through. No waking up. No replaying conversations. No imagining different outcomes. Just sleep. The kind you only get when your mind stops negotiating with something it already knows is wrong. Saturday morning, I woke up to sunlight cutting through thin curtains. I left my phone off, went to the hotel gym. 2 treadmills, a rack of dumbbells, nothing impressive. Didn't matter. Routine is stability, and stability is power. Around 9, I turned my phone back on. 68 missed calls, 54 texts, 14 voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them. I got dressed, checked out, and drove to Owen's place in Glendale. He opened the door, took one look at me, bags, exhaustion, clarity, and just nodded. "Took you long enough," he said. "I had to see it clearly," I replied. He stepped aside. "Guest room's yours." No questions. No judgment. Just space. The first few days were quiet. Deliberately so. Owen worked opposite shifts, which meant I had long stretches alone to think, to process, to organize not just my belongings, but the truth. Because what happened at that restaurant? That wasn't the beginning. That was the confirmation. Like the time his phone buzzed at 2 a.m. and he jumped out of bed to check it, then told me it was his cousin. His cousin lived in the same time zone and went to bed before midnight. I didn't argue. I just noted it. Or the time I overheard him telling his friend Marcus that he felt stuck, that he wished things were more exciting. He stopped talking when I walked into the room. I didn't ask, didn't chase, because people always tell you how they feel. You just have to listen without interrupting. Then there was my birthday. 32. He forgot. Not forgot the gift. Forgot the day. Went out with his friends. Came home at 4 in the afternoon and said, "Oh, that was today?" Then asked if I could order food because he was tired. I didn't yell. Didn't fight. I just filed it away. Because arguing with someone who has already checked out, that's not strength. That's self-abandonment. Owen had asked me a week before everything fell apart. When's the last time he asked about your day and actually listened? I couldn't answer. That was my answer. So when I kept my finances separate, when I tracked what I paid for, when I made sure I knew exactly what belonged to me, it wasn't paranoia. It was preparation. Not for leaving. For clarity. The dinner was just the moment I stopped giving him the benefit of the doubt. He made his choice on that patio. I made mine in the parking lot. Sunday afternoon, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. "Adriana, are you serious right now?" "Brooke." His best friend. "Of course." "Hello to you too," I said. "He hasn't eaten. He's been calling you nonstop. How could you just disappear like that over a 5-minute conversation?" I leaned back against the couch. "Is that what he told you? That he talked to an old girlfriend for a few minutes and you freaked out?" "Yes." I let the silence stretch. Then I said calmly, "He told me not to embarrass him." "What?" "He let her disrespect me. Then he took her outside, put his hands on her, and told me to wait. On the night I was celebrating my promotion." Silence. "That's not what he said," Brooke muttered. "I'm sure it isn't. You could have talked it out." "I tried. He told me to relax." Another pause. "This one longer." "He loves you," she said, but there was less conviction in it now. "No," I said quietly. "He was comfortable with me." That landed differently. I could hear it. Because comfort without respect? That's not love. That's convenience. "Tell him," I added. "He needs to worry about rent. I paid through the end of the month." Then I hung up and blocked the number. Not out of anger, out of finality. Because I wasn't interested in correcting his version of events. I had already lived the truth. And I wasn't going back to explain it to someone who had chosen not to see it. The collapse didn't happen all at once. It never does. It starts small, quiet inconveniences. Then the cracks widen until the whole structure gives way. I wasn't there to watch it happen in real time. But I didn't need to be. People talk. And when you've lived inside something long enough, you can picture exactly how it unfolds. Monday afternoon, I got a text from Daniel, a mutual friend who worked a few blocks from Sebastian's office. "Daniel, hey, heard what happened? You okay?" "Me, I'm good." 3 dots. Then another message. "Daniel, he's not. He's been a mess at work. Also, he tried texting Talia. She left him on red, then blocked him." I stared at the screen for a second. Not surprised. Just confirmed. "Me, that tracks." "Daniel, you already knew?" I leaned back against Owen's couch. "Yeah, I did." "I knew what she was," I typed. "People like that don't come back to rebuild anything. They come back to check if they still can." He replied almost instantly, "Daniel, damn, that's cold." "Me, it's accurate." Because that's all it was. Talia didn't want him. She wanted confirmation. That she still had access. That she could still walk into a room, call his name, and watch him forget everything else. And once she got that, she was done. By Wednesday, the situation had escalated. "Daniel, you didn't hear this from me, but she showed up at his gym." I blinked. "She?" "Daniel, Talia." He kept typing. Sebastian tried to talk to her. She had the front desk tell him she wasn't there, while she was literally on the treadmill. I let out a slow breath. There it was. The mirror. He had stood outside something he couldn't access. Just like he'd left me standing at that table. Only difference? I walked away. He stayed. The financial reality hit him faster. Because unlike emotions, numbers don't negotiate. Rent was due in 2 weeks. $2,400. Utilities. Internet gone. Streaming gone. Groceries on him now. His take-home pay? Roughly $2,500 a month. The math didn't work. It never had. I'd just been covering the gap so smoothly, he never had to think about it. That's the danger of being the stable one. People start confusing your effort with normal. A week after I left, I got an email from him. Subject line, "We need to talk." I opened it. Not because I missed him, because I wanted to see how he framed it. "Adriana, I can't afford this place on my own. You promised we were building a life together. You can't just leave me like this. We need to figure something out." I read it twice, then closed it. No response. Because that wasn't accountability. That was negotiation. And I wasn't in business with him anymore. 2 weeks later, property management emailed me. Rent overdue. I forwarded them the notice I'd already sent, removing myself from the lease. I had CC'd Sebastian. He just hadn't read it. Too busy reacting emotionally to manage anything practical. That part didn't surprise me either. He had never handled logistics. He had relied on me to do that. Now the system was gone, and he was standing in the middle of the consequences. Another message from Daniel came in a few days later. "Daniel, he's moving out." I didn't reply right away. He sent another. "He's selling stuff. Cheap." I pictured it without needing details. The couch I paid for, the bed frame, the TV stand, all of it going for a fraction of what it was worth. Not because he wanted to, because he had to. There's a difference. Later that night, another text. This time from Kevin. He had always been more Sebastian's friend than mine, which made what he said matter more. Kevin, "Hey, I don't usually get involved, but you should know." I waited. 3 dots. Then, "He did something similar before you. Different girl. Same vibe. Party, attention, crossing lines." I felt something shift in my chest. Not pain. Alignment. Like a puzzle piece clicking into place. "Me, thanks for telling me." "Kevin, you didn't deserve that." "No, I didn't." And for the first time, I didn't feel like I needed to argue that point with myself. The friend group settled quietly after that. No dramatic announcements. No sides declared out loud. But people adjust based on patterns, and patterns don't lie. Most of them stayed in my orbit. Not because I demanded it, because they'd been watching, because they knew, because respect leaves a trail. The last update came 3 weeks later, again from Daniel. Daniel. He moved back in with his parents. I closed my eyes for a second, not in satisfaction, in understanding. That was the end of the line. No apartment, no independence, no illusion of control, just reality, stripped down to what he could actually sustain on his own. That night, I sat on Owen's balcony with a cup of coffee, looking out at the city lights, trying to feel something. Vindication, relief, anger, anything. But what came instead was something quieter, something heavier. Acceptance, not just of what he did, but of what I allowed for too long. Because here's the part nobody likes to admit. The signs weren't hidden. They were subtle, but they were there, and I saw them. I just kept translating them into something softer, because I wanted us to work. I thought about that night at the restaurant again. The way he touched my chest like I was something to manage. The way he told me not to embarrass him. The way he walked away without hesitation. And for the first time, I didn't replay it to understand him. I replayed it to understand myself. Why I stayed calm. Why I didn't fight. Why I didn't chase him onto that patio. And the answer was simple. Because some part of me already knew. That moment wasn't a surprise. It was a confirmation. By the end of that week, I stopped checking my phone for updates. Stopped asking Daniel for news. Stopped caring how things were unfolding on his side. Because for the first time in a long time, my life wasn't tied to his decisions anymore. And that kind of freedom, it doesn't feel loud. It feels like space. Like breathing without resistance. Like waking up and realizing you don't have to manage anyone else's emotions just to keep the day running smoothly. I wasn't healed yet, but I was no longer confused. And that was enough. For now. 5 months later, my life didn't look dramatically different. It felt different. That's how you know something real changed. Not because everything around you transforms overnight, but because the weight you've been carrying quietly disappears, and suddenly everything you do feels lighter. I moved into a studio loft near the airport. 800 square feet. Exposed brick. Concrete floors. Minimal furniture. Everything exactly where I wanted it. Rent was $1,600 a month. I could afford it easily, because I was no longer subsidizing someone else's lifestyle. There's a specific kind of peace that comes from living inside a space that reflects only you. No negotiations over where things go. No passive-aggressive comments about spending. No one leaving emotional debris in rooms you just cleaned. Just order and silence. Work became sharper, cleaner, more focused. Without the constant background noise of managing someone else's expectations, I started operating at full capacity. 3 major C checks completed without delay. My crew trusted me, not just because I knew what I was doing, because I showed up the same way every time. Prepared, consistent, clear. My supervisor pulled me aside one afternoon in November. "I've been doing this 15 years, he said. "You're one of the best leads I've worked with." A week later, I got promoted to senior lead. $18,000 increase. Ahead of schedule. I didn't celebrate with anyone, not out of bitterness, out of clarity. I didn't need validation from someone who hadn't earned a front row seat to my life. Physically, I changed too. 5 days a week at the gym, 10 pounds of muscle, better sleep, 7 hours a night, consistently. I treated my body the same way I treated aircraft systems. Maintenance, precision, respect for limits. And for the first time in years, I wasn't running on emotional depletion. I was running on intention. The first month after I left, I kept waiting for regret to show up, for doubt, for that pull people talk about, the one that makes you wonder if you overreacted. It never came. What came instead was clarity. The constant negotiation was gone. The quiet resentment was gone. The feeling of being slightly out of place in my own relationship? Gone. By month 3, I barely thought about Sebastian at all. Not in anger, not in nostalgia, just absence. Like a room I used to walk through that no longer existed. I met Ethan at a coffee shop near my gym. It wasn't dramatic. No sparks flying across the room. No cinematic moment. Just 2 people ordering coffee at the same time and making small talk while waiting. He was an accountant. Calm. On time. Direct without being harsh. We got dinner a few days later. He showed up exactly when he said he would. Didn't check his phone mid-conversation. Didn't try to impress me. Didn't try to manage me. When the bill came, he split it without hesitation. "I don't like owing anyone anything," he said. That line stayed with me, because it wasn't about money. It was about responsibility, balance, mutual respect. We started seeing each other casually. Dinner, movies, walks. It was easy. Not effortless in a lazy way. Effortless in a healthy way. No guessing. No decoding. No subtle power shifts. Just 2 adults showing up consistently. I didn't rush it. Didn't define it too quickly. Because for the first time, I wasn't trying to secure something. I was just observing. And that felt like progress. Around that time, I ran into Daniel again. We grabbed tacos near the hangar after my shift. He looked me over, smirked slightly. "You look good," he said. "Different." "Better sleep," I replied. "And not dealing with Sebastian. That helps too." He laughed, then hesitated. "Hey, random thing, I saw him last week." I didn't react immediately, just took a bite of my food. "And?" I asked. "He asked about you." "Of course he did." "What did you say?" I said I didn't know much. Then he asked if you seemed happy. I paused for half a second. Not because I needed to think. Because I wanted to hear how it sounded out loud. "And?" I told him you seemed great. I nodded slowly. "How do you take that?" I asked. Daniel shrugged. Didn't say much, just nodded, looked off. I didn't feel anything sharp. No satisfaction. No urge to prove anything. Just distance. "Good," I said simply. Later that night, I thought about it for a moment. Not about him. About the version of me who used to care how he saw me. Who used to measure her worth against his attention. That version of me felt far away now. Not gone. Just evolved. The truth is, I didn't want him to suffer. I didn't want him to fail. I didn't want revenge. Because revenge keeps you tied to the thing you're trying to escape. What I wanted was to not think about him at all. And I had reached that point. Life settled into something stable. Predictable. But not boring. Structured. Intentional. The apartment stayed clean because I cleaned it. The bills were paid because I paid them. My schedule ran smoothly because I managed it. Everything worked because I made it work. No hidden dependencies. No emotional guesswork. Just control. The kind you build, not the kind you demand from someone else. And then, right when everything felt solid, the past showed up. Not through a message. Not through a call. But in person. 3 days before Christmas. 7:45 in the morning. At the coffee shop near my apartment. I was standing at the counter, waiting for my order, half focused on my phone, already thinking about the C-check I had scheduled later that morning. Grounded. Steady. Exactly where I wanted to be. "Adriana." The voice hit me before I turned around. Familiar, but off. Like hearing a song you used to know, played in a different key. I turned. And for a second, I didn't recognize him. Not because his face had changed. Because his presence had. Sebastian stood about 6 feet away. But he didn't look like the man who had walked into Belloro like the room owed him attention. His hair was unstyled. Dark circles under his eyes. Clothes that looked worn instead of curated. He wasn't falling apart. But he wasn't holding himself together the same way anymore. And then I saw what he was holding. A leash, attached to a medium-sized dog sitting just outside the glass window. Brown and white, floppy ears, bright eyes, tail wagging like the world was still simple. The dog looked at me through the glass. Hopeful, curious, unaware. I looked back at Sebastian and immediately understood one thing. This wasn't random. This was planned. Carefully, deliberately. And whatever he was about to say, it wasn't going to be simple. I saw the dog first. Not Sebastian. Not his expression. Not the way he was standing there like he'd been rehearsing this moment. The dog, medium-sized, maybe 40 pounds, brown and white coat, slightly uneven like he hadn't quite grown into himself yet, floppy ears, bright eyes that locked onto mine through the glass like I was already someone he trusted. He stood up the second I stepped closer, tail wagging, hopeful. That kind of pure, uncomplicated energy animals have when they don't know they're about to be used as part of someone else's plan. I pushed the door open and stepped outside. The December air hit sharp, cold enough to keep everything clear. Sebastian smiled, not the confident smile he used to wear. Something softer, careful. Adriana, he said, I want you to meet someone. I didn't respond. I just looked at him, then at the dog, then back at him. His grip on the leash tightened slightly, like he needed something to anchor him. His name is Atlas, he continued quickly. I named him myself. You always liked that name, remember? You said if you ever got a dog, you'd want something strong, something that meant something. There it was. Memory. Weaponized. I crouched down anyway. Not for him, for the dog. Atlas stepped forward immediately, nose brushing my hand, tail still going like nothing in his world had ever gone wrong. I let him sniff, scratched lightly behind his ear. He leaned into it, trusting, immediate. Good dog. None of this was his fault. I stood back up. Sebastian took a small step closer. I adopted him yesterday, he said. Lab mix, maybe some shepherd. They said he's about 2 years old, already house-trained, really calm, really good temperament. He was talking fast now, filling space, trying to keep momentum. I got everything, he added, lifting a branded bag slightly like it was proof. Bed, bowls, good food, not the cheap stuff. I even signed up for training classes. I waited, because I knew what was coming next. You always wanted a dog, he said, softer now. You talked about it all the time, remember? You said when we had a bigger place, maybe a yard, we'd finally do it. He smiled again, this time like he thought he'd solved something. Well, he said, almost proud. I finally did it. There was a pause, a beat where he expected something from me. Recognition, emotion, gratitude. Us, he added quietly. I did it for us. I looked at him, really looked, at the way he was standing, at the way he was watching my face for a reaction, at the way he had skipped over everything that actually mattered to land here. On this, a dog, a gesture, a shortcut. Atlas nudged my hand again, looking for more attention. I gave him another quick scratch, then straightened. A dog isn't an apology, I said. Sebastian blinked. The smile flickered. What? You showed up with a shelter dog and a bag of supplies, I continued, my voice steady. And you think that fixes what happened? That's not... He shook his head quickly. That's not what this is. I'm showing you I'm serious, that I've changed. No, I said calmly. You're showing me you think gestures are enough. His jaw tightened. I made a mistake, he said. One mistake, and I've been trying to fix it. One mistake, I repeated. He hesitated. Okay, maybe more than one, but you told me not to embarrass you, I said, cutting through it. You let her disrespect me. Then you walked away with her and left me standing there on a night that was supposed to matter. His expression shifted, less confident now. I said I was sorry, he insisted. I told you I lost track of time. You didn't lose track of time, I said. You made a choice. Silence. The leash shifted slightly in his hand as Atlas sat down, looking up between us like he was trying to understand the tension. I love you, Adriana, Sebastian said, quieter now. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I'm here now. I'm trying. This, he gestured to the dog, this is me showing you I want to build something real, something better. I let that sit for a second. Then I shook my head slightly. You're still trying to manage the outcome, I said. I'm not. You are, I said. You're just doing it differently now. His brows pulled together. I don't understand what you want from me. That almost made me laugh. Not because it was funny, because it was honest. He really didn't know. I wanted respect, I said simply. The words landed heavier than anything else I'd said, because they weren't dramatic. They were basic, and he hadn't given it. I want that now, he said quickly. I'm giving you that now. No, I said. You're reacting to losing something you were comfortable with. His face fell slightly. That's not fair. It's accurate. Atlas stood up again, tail wagging uncertainly now, picking up on the shift. I looked down at him one more time. Brown eyes, open, trusting. He deserved better than this. Take care of him, I said. Sebastian frowned. What? He's not a solution, I continued. He's not a symbol. He's not something you use to fix a relationship. I'm not using him. You are, I said quietly, even if you don't realize it. His grip on the leash tightened. I got him for you. That's the problem. The words hung there between us. Cold, clear, final. Tears started forming in his eyes now. Real ones, not controlled. I drove to 3 different shelters, he said, voice breaking. I spent $600 on everything. I thought if you saw that I was serious, you thought I'd come back, I finished for him. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. I'm not coming back, I said. The sentence felt simple, solid, unmovable. You can't just throw everything away, he said, desperation creeping in now. 2 years. You already did, I said. That one hit. I saw it in the way his shoulders dropped slightly, in the way his expression cracked. I made a mistake, he whispered. You made a choice, I corrected. Another silence. Longer this time. He looked down at Atlas, then back at me. Just think about it, he said. We can talk. Get breakfast. You can spend time with him. He already likes you. Did you see that? I did. Of course I did. That wasn't the point. I hope you take care of him, I said again. He deserves that. Then I turned. Walked to my truck. Didn't rush. Didn't hesitate. Just moved forward. Adriana, wait, he called behind me. I heard his footsteps. The soft click of the leash. Atlas's nails against the pavement. Just 1 minute, he said. Please. I didn't stop. I unlocked my truck. Got in. Started the engine. Through the windshield, I could see him standing there on the sidewalk, holding the leash. Atlas sitting beside him now, looking confused. Sebastian was still talking. Still trying. Still believing there was something he could say, something he could show, something he could bring. That would change the outcome. But I couldn't hear him anymore. The glass between us turned his voice into nothing. And for the first time in a long time, that felt right. I pulled out. Didn't look back. Because closure isn't something someone else gives you. It's something you take the moment you decide you're done explaining yourself. And I was done.